All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Here we are at the 2023 ARC Formula One Monaco Grand Prix. The 8th round of 25 this season. We find ourselves a little early in qualifying. Of course, as you know very well, this will be, for all intents and purposes, the make or break moment of the weekend for these drivers. Qualifying is really where it matters.
Yep, qualifying usually takes place determining most of the race in the real life GP, but could be different here in league racing. We know there's a lot of human error involved other than 20 world-class Formula One drivers going around the track in real life. So,
It'll be a big reality check for a lot of the drivers coming off of the Spanish Grand Prix at Barcelona, Catalunya. They will be tested quite a bit more on a track like Monaco.
Oh yeah. The opposite in real life, going from Monaco to Spain. We're going from Spain to Monaco, where we saw Matthew Stotts take the win, defending against Josh. Run through these standings real quick. And my computer doesn't want to load. Awesome. Here we go. Still holding first is the Williams of Mikey de Jong with 92 points. Right behind him, though, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, 86, so only 6 points back. And then from him, we got Boryoshi, only 1 point back with 85. And then we got Al Hazmi sitting there in P4 with 80. So there's only 12 points, Alex, separating the top 4 drivers. So this is huge. This could be a total point swing here in Monaco, where you know as well as I do, anything can happen. 1 foot wrong, weekend over.
It is pretty wild. 6 points, the largest gap between any of the top 4 drivers on the standings right now, and that is the gap between first and second, Mikey de Jong and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer respectively. But second and third, from Jonathan Jurgensmeyer to Boryoshi, as you mentioned, Bill, it's only a 1 point separation, so this top 4 is really tight. They'll be looking to lay down a good qualifying session here, because that's really their only guarantee for solid points this weekend. They'll have to pray for a miracle if they don't end up having a good qualifying. And it is Boryoshi first on the board with the 11.5 provisional pole. 14 minutes remaining, of course.
Don't forget telemetry and track map.
This is true. Sorry for slacking.
Yeah, it's the fact that the live stream didn't go up. We jumped into it late as opposed to being able to get set. The Adam Pelk out there setting a banker lap there on the medium set of tires. Probably just trying to get a feel for the track. Probably not a lot of practice. It's a hard track to go out there and get. Let's just say you're right home from work and the only thing you can do is really jump on the game. It's a tough one. Maybe look to see some of the drivers that you see in the back just going out there getting a feel for it and then just trying to pretty much take what the race gives you here and go from there. That's been my approach in the past, because I'll tell you, I'm not good here whatsoever.
It takes a much different kind of driving than you'll expect from most of the other Grand Prix on the calendar. It is its own beast. Requires patience, but also risk. Unlike any other track, I would say, your willingness to get as close to that outside wall as possible on corner exit is really the make or break of your lap here at Monaco.
Hey, we're talking tenths of a second. But on the I always forget Fred's name.
That is Jamie Knock on provisional pole by half of a tenth over Boryoshi at the moment.
Jamie Knock's had an up and down season thus far. He's had the pace. He should be well up there fighting for this championship, but mistakes is some are not really his doing either, but just trouble finds him every race, and hopefully he can turn around this weekend. You'd like to see maybe a 5-car battle up here for the championship, make things interesting heading down the stretch.
It will take a monumental effort here in this session for that to be even close to a possibility for Jamie Knock. However, following along now with Matt Stotts, winner of the previous Grand Prix, we'll see him lay down his first lap of the session.
Oh, he's close already right here on the outlap.
seems to have good control of the back end of that car. He is getting a little loose on it, but, you know, being Monaco, a driver that knows how to keep good control of the back end and get it just loose enough to rotate through the corner is the one that will have the most success. Car
Yeah, I mean,
control is everything.
We saw Verstappen go on the wall to take pole here just a week ago, so the limit is where the speed is. I noticed where he's got a purple sector 1, so
He does.
Ferrari pole maybe on offer.
Tight through the hairpin, he takes it.
Yeah, and the main thing too here is you gotta go. Oh, you're so close there. You gotta find clean air here, because I mean, we see down through the swimming pool section now there's a bit of traffic there. Luckily, Matthew Stotts won't have to deal with any of that.
As mentioned, though, great control of the back end. He's really sending it into a lot of these corners. Just having full faith in his car to rotate as necessary.
Didn't quite go purple through sector 2, but could still be on it here.
There's the Haas of Jake Scarborough making space for him as he rounds the final corner and comes across the line with P12. Going purple in the first sector seemed to not carry.
Something happened in that middle sector there, because the third sector looked pretty clean. Something had to. I was on board. It didn't seem relatively slow, but maybe that's the pace of the Alfa Romeo. We had a stonking sector 1. I don't know what happened there.
In the meantime, though, Al-Hazmi has made his way up to P3 for the moment, sitting on an 11.6. Boryoshi in P2 with the 11.5, and Jamie Knock, the first one into the 11.4s.
Yeah, just barely 1,000th of a second in there, but let the record show, as Carter would say.
Probably will not be enough.
New face here, HMS fan in the AlphaTauri. Am I missing something there? Look at my notes here. No, somebody filling in for Dylan Thomas this week.
Believe it's a fresh reserve, yes. We are not fully updated on the roster, so not knowing this new driver's name, we will probably stick to just referring to them as HMS fan throughout the race. Any apologies
I'll do a little bit
for
of
it
digging
beforehand?
here, Alex, and I'll give you a name here in just a second.
Well, here's hoping. If you manage to find one, we will obviously use that, but we just go with what we got. If not... Andrew Davis, however, onto provisional pole with the 11.2. The track seems to be rubbering in, at least to some extent here, as that Alpine claws his way up to P1 over Jamie Knock with the 11.4 for the moment. And then it's Boryoshi. Boryoshi comes across with the 11.1. These times really starting to drop now. I think the line is starting to get evened out. I think people are starting to figure out where they want to be on track to achieve the best times. About halfway through the session now, the track is decently rubbered in. I'm sure we will see times drop into the 110s soon enough, as Andrew Davis and Boryoshi duck it into the pits. Yellow's out in the first sector may have been a slight issue. We are back to green very quickly. Jamie Knock, however, may have had some portion of his lap compromised by that incident, whoever it may have been. Does seem to still be pushing, though. We'll wait to see what time he manages to bring home. However, I do believe it is the AlphaTauri of Josh Bowditch that'll be next to cross the line with a hot lap. Into pits he goes. Indeed, he will not be laying down a time on this attempt.
Yeah, my digging turned up zilch. Sorry about that.
Fair enough. HMS fan it is. Should be the next to cross the line with a time. Only 3 drivers yet to put up a time onto the board.
I believe, is that blurry?
And it's good for P11 for the rookie. Not a bad showing at all.
Julius, his game crashed. I saw that on the Discord, so he might have gotten back in the session with an invite, so he'll be a little bit late, but he's still got time to make a lap. He's out on track as we speak, actually, getting ready to set his first lap.
We will wait on bated breath for that lap to come in. Does seem like he is out on track at the moment. Only driver left to put down a lap, or to even come out onto the track, it seems, is AJ Knickel, yet to leave his pit box.
Ooh. Oh, that's unfortunate for the Mercedes. Mercedes made contact with the inside wall through Maribel, turn 5 there. Doesn't look like any damage, but certainly bounced, I'll tell you that.
Abdul Al-Hazmi currently on a cooldown lap. However, the lap previous was good enough for provisional pole first driver into the 110s with the 110.79.
I feel bad. I didn't even notice that. That is a huge lap.
That will not be good enough for pole come the end of the session, I'd imagine. However, he's definitely comfortable with it for the moment.
Yeah, he was well clear by 4/10 there. Nearly.
However, as mentioned, now that we're starting to rubber in, about 13 minutes into the session, we should see more time starting to drop into the 110s.
Yep, his teammate just went quicker in Sector 1 as he heads down towards the lowest hairpin. Oop, I think it's the hairpin. I don't know what it's called now, Grand Hotel hairpin.
Will it be a Haas with a time? It is. It is Jake Scarborough with P11 on the 112.3. Next across the line, I believe, was Andrew Davis going P4 in the Alpine. Not bad at all.
The next one after that will be Fabian, Fidel Fabian on a lap. I think he's backed out, actually, yeah. Oh,
Looks like he has.
We're just gonna...
His teammate entering the sector somewhat behind him does not seem to be pushing himself, though, either.
Micah de Jong was on a huge lap. He's invalidated somewhere while we were looking at someone else. Fidel just calls that a day.
Monaco, of course, very unforgiving, very easy to get frustrated with.
Francis's teammate's going to start out on a lap here. He did his first lap, I believe, on mediums, so if that's the case, that's a good lap for mediums.
Keeping an eye out for the Haas cars, who both seem to be going into the pit. They will not be laying down a lap on this attempt. However, Fabian's teammate in the other McLaren is on a hot lap. Oh, his time may or may not be compromised by the yellow that just came out in his sector.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of traffic heading towards the Nouvelle chicane.
It looks like it.
Oh, yeah, thank God he got out of the way. But it messes with your eyesight and your braking point when there's somebody that close. Trust issues, I suppose. Flat out 3 or 2.
So we will follow along with Useless coming through the final corner now. Next to cross the line, we'll see what kind of time they're able to lay down. Not good enough to improve by much. P10 it shall be for the moment. 3 minutes or just under remaining in the session. And Matt Stotts, let's not forget, who was on provisional pole for about 40 seconds there early in the session, now finds himself down in P15. Previous race winner, of course.
And Jamie Knox coming across the line. Ooh. Not just catching all, he's beginning his lap.
I think so. It's tough to judge with Monaco. Just even off the track map itself. Josh Bowditch, however, comes across the line in P5 with the 11.3. Interestingly enough, it is the Aston Martin of AJ Knickel who is still yet to come out of the pits. May not have time for a lap at this point in the session, so
maybe there's a quality ban we don't know about. It's purely speculation on my part. Matthew Stotts goes a bit quicker for P13. Next across the line is going to be Boryoshi. What's it going to
Boryoshi
be?
advancing a
P2.
spot to P2. Second driver
Front row of
into the
grid.
110s.
Give yourself a shot there into turn 1.
I mean, being Monaco, your chance at a win is exponentially higher from second position than it is from third on race start. So he'll be happy with that for the moment. Alright, following along now with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, who looks like he's just started a fast lap. Tough to tell if there's any drivers that are looking to come across the line soon. Oh, and it is Matt Daly right into the back of Matthew Stotts, potentially. No contact, but just heavy traffic. Oh, and that definitely knackered his lap.
Mikey DeJong with a 1:10.3.
Nearly half a second clear of the field at the moment. It is the Williams boys atop of the board.
Not a lot of time left.
What a cracking lap to pull that out. As mentioned, half a second clear at the time being.
Francis goes P4 in the McLaren. So he's up the order.
Francis, the next driver into the 110s with the 110.9. I'm sure he'll be happy with that.
Andrew improved his lap, but not enough to get P4. Still got another chance at it here. Checkers out. Josh finishes.
Checkered flag is out. Josh Bowditch holding that P7 for the moment. Next maybe... Oh, we have a few retirements. Risk not being worth it to some, it seems. Adam Pelk should be the next to cross the line in the Mercedes, as we anxiously await his timing to see if he'll be able to advance, and he does not. Stays at 1:13.1 and will start from P16. The Aston Martin, however, of Matt Daly crosses the line and is only good for P9 with the 1:11.5.
HMS fan, I believe, is going to... his lap is invalidated. He'll have... This is just a glory run there.
He will be starting from P14 this weekend. And it does not appear there are many drivers left to put their lap in. It might be none,
Andrew
actually.
just crossed the line. He's 3/10 slower. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer? No, he's already done.
Jurg crosses, holds P6.
Yeah, that's going to do it.
Looks like that will do it for Monaco qualifying. Mikey de Jong on pole by nearly half a second with the 1:10.3. Teammate Abdullah Al-Hazmi close behind. They will be starting 1-2 on the grid. Boryoshi in the Red Bull takes P3 with the 1:10.8. And then it's Francis in the McLaren pulling a P4 out. See, that's how you capitalize off Monaco. Andrew Davis, P5 in the Alpine. Next to him will be Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in the Haas, P6, and Josh Bowditch will be P7. Jamie Knock in the Alfa Romeo starting P8, and Matt Daly, the Aston Martin, starting P9. Julius Duku ran into some technical difficulties early in the session, but stays P10 with his time. Jake Scarborough in the Haas starting P11, and Fabian in the McLaren P12. Matt Stotts, previous winner, will be starting from P13 and will be looking to make up as many places as he can from there, with HMS Fan, the rookie, starting behind him in the AlphaTauri P14. And off to the race we go. It is now Sunday.
Alex, if you're Williams, you gotta.
If you're a Williams,
at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, if you're a Williams, you are very happy with your qualifying. You're very happy with how it looks like the rest of the weekend will shake out. It's just a matter of them two, I feel.
Yeah.
Will they compete hard enough against each other to leave space open behind them for other people to capitalize? Or
well, my point is, do they give leeway into turn one and then just slowly keep the pace and just take off and keep, because starting 1-2 as a team, you think at Monaco you finish 1-2 as a team.
I'm sure they will play it safe. Both race winners this season, both very experienced and very skilled drivers. I'm not too sure we'll see too many fireworks from them two specifically, but it will be interesting regardless.
P1 and P4 in the championship, respectfully. There's 12 points separating them, so I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Mikey DeYoung into the eighth Grand Prix of the season we are currently, and Mikey DeYoung has been on the podium for half of the Grand Prix so far this season as we start the formation lap.
And it's not without their troubles during the race either. We've seen it since the go there in Bahrain. It's just trouble finds them, but luckily troubles found them early enough in the Grand Prix where they've had time to recover. Whereas quite the opposite, we talk about Jamie Knock and his success and his speed he's consistently had all season. Trouble finds him late, not really able to recover.
It is almost funny at this point. The Williams do get caught up in one incident or another, it seems, every Grand Prix, but it is early enough in the lap count that they're able to recover pretty nicely by race end. But it still should be noted that they do find their way into trouble, no matter what.
Unfortunately for them, this is not the track you want to do it early, middle, or late on, because you know as well as I do, you get behind slow track, where are you going to pass? The one DRS straight really doesn't help you out here down in the Sandoval. There's nothing really there, except you just got to sit and wait and wait and wait and wait for a driver to make a mistake, just try to capitalize on it. So they need to be mistake-free from green to checkered.
It appears so. And we will see mistakes along the way, of course. This will not be a clean race, I imagine, by any means. Into the final corner on the formation lap. It seems
take a look at the tires.
Top two are starting on mediums. We will take a look down the rest of the field. And it's Boryoshi and Francis, P3 and P4, starting on the hards. The highest running order drivers on the hard tires. A few incorrect starting box position penalties assessed. That is what those early disqualifications are for. It doesn't actually mean they're out of the race. It just means they've been assessed penalties for not lining up in the correct spot. To race start we go. And it's lights out and away we go here from Monaco. Mike de Jong does not get away well. It is Abdullah Al-Hazmi with the much better run into the first corner.
No.
He swoops in. They are fighting. They are wheel to wheel going through the first sector. And it is Mikey de Jong who does reclaim the position, but it was Abdullah Al-Hazmi with a much better start. Seems to have relinquished. Trouble early. It seems there is a Haas in trouble of Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Oh, and he will have to fight tooth and nail to catch the back of the grid. However, off that start, it is Mikey de Jong, and I think Abdullah Al-Hazmi may have backed out of the fight, was not looking to cause any trouble with his teammate in the first corner of the race. He has backed out, maintains a gap of about half a second back, and it looks like we have our running order for the time being.
There for Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. P4 in the championship, had a good started in the points. Hopefully no damage and he can recover. It's going to be a tough day from there, though.
It will be tough. He'll be fighting from P18 for the rest of the afternoon, and it's just unfortunate. We did not manage to catch the exact incident, but we saw his telemetry as he fell to the back, and just feel for him. As you said, Billy, P4 currently in the championship, and he'll be making to look up any points he can from this position. As he does go purple.
On the outside of Adam Pelk.
Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, in a span of a corner and a half, manages to make up 2 positions, as we do already have some drivers into the pit, maybe for some early troubles.
Yeah.
That first corner just accordioned everybody so hard. I can't imagine there wasn't some contact here and there. Every driver in the pits at the moment may have been on the receiving end.
And the Ferrari's double stacks, and when you double stack with 2 wing changes, that is going to absolutely kill Travis's race right there.
Travis filling in for Tyler Crabtree this week. He does find himself in the final racing position at the moment, just now getting out of pit, and wow, he was absolutely left out to dry on that pit stop. Matt Stotts, however, leading the pack of that first lap pitting group at the moment, currently P15. as Mikey de Jong has built himself out a 1.2 second lead over teammate Abdullah Al-Hazmi. The last we checked on them, the lead was only about 0.5, 0.6 seconds. So just comfortably cruising. Abdullah Al-Hazmi may have settled in. He may be on a different strategy, per se, than his teammate, but for the moment, for the time being, it is Mikey de Jong kind of running away with this.
Yeah, you gotta imagine that the Williams will want to create a gap from P1 to P2. Case the pit, they got a double stack because they know that the Red Bull and, well, Red Bull, which is going to play a plug in the cork that is the pipe for everybody else, being on the hards, so they'll go shorter. Borio should be able to go longer in the stint, but as long as that Red Bull's holding up the rest of the field, these two Williams are going to get away with the softer compound tire.
Abdullah Al-Hazmi, will mention again, maybe should be in the lead of this race, but smartly backed out of any trouble that may have befell him or his teammate after getting a great start, a great jump on Mikey de Jong. He was in the lead. He just down the start-finish straight going into the first corner. It was clearly Abdullah Al-Hazmi with the lead on Mikey de Jong. However, Mikey de Jong took it through the corners a bit cleaner, not having to race on the outside line, and manages to hold the first position at the moment. Further down the field we look, and it is Julius Duku who has made up 3 positions thus far in the Mercedes. Jamie Knock making up a few, also currently sitting P6. And Francis, great to see him out this weekend. He is currently P5 in the McLaren.
Yeah, Josh looking very antsy behind the McLaren of Fidel Fabian right now. We saw it last week. He had the patience to stay behind Stoss, but I don't know if he's got the patience today. He's looking, darting all around, faking out the mirrors. He knows that he's got faster pace, but he has no way of getting around it. This is the frustration that is Monaco. Would you want to sit here for the next 35 laps, Alex? I wouldn't.
I would not feel comfortable doing so. Josh Bowditch, however, as we know, very skilled driver. He has great natural talent, but Monaco itself is, of course, a circuit meant for the veterans. If you have racing experience here, you are going to do better than anybody who has natural skill but has not raced here.
Yeah, AJ Knickel around in the hairpin, lost front wing, so the second Aston Martin will now have to pit. Not a good start to the race for both Aston Martins down there out of the points.
The lead, or the gap I should say, between the Williams has grown already to 2 seconds, with Boryoshi and the Red Bull kind of getting hung out to dry in P3, already 3.5 seconds behind the leaders, with Andrew Davis in the Alpine close behind, giving him a run for his money, and Francis right there too in the train.
Yeah, this is going to play out excellent for Williams, because they'll be able to, like I said, build a gap to P3, try and cover themselves off, especially if they have alternate pit stops, say, 1 lap shorter than the other. It'll be interesting to see who jumps first, though, with the Williams, who tries to get on the fresher tires, but that's neither here nor there for the next 20 laps, so.
I'd imagine, if anything, Al-Hazmi and Mikey will be not battling per se on track, but they will be battling in terms of strategy for sure. I'd imagine Al-Hazmi will be looking to employ an undercut at some point, going at the end of the first stint, and Mikey de Jong will be looking to defend the undercut, look to hold it off, whatever's necessary, but I do not imagine we will see too much fighting on track between those two.
Somehow Josh has gotten by the McLaren, so up into P8. His teammate in 10th on the softs, though, so his tires will not go the distance here. Probably looking at a 2-stop.
Rookie HMS fan. By the end of the second lap, he was already sitting upon a 3-second time penalty for track limits. However, he's in a point-scoring position for the moment as a rookie reserve driver. Not terrible at all.
Yeah, what I've learned here too, sometimes it's best to take the time penalty as opposed to trying to shove it into a corner you know you're not going to make. But that thought of just taking the time penalties could ultimately make it so you have the worst time penalty, and that's sitting down for the rest of the race with no suspension. So I always thought it best to take the track limits.
Following along now with Andrew Davis as he gets right up to the back of that Red Bull, but being Monaco, there's just nowhere for him to go besides following Boryoshi through the corner. No space inside or outside to get around him, so he'll have to concede.
Oh, and see, there's
and
the frustration.
that corner,
it's just
As we
so
spectated, yep.
hard to just sit behind a driver that you know you're quicker than and you cannot do anything. I wouldn't wish that feeling on anybody, but you can't do anything. You really can't unless you just want to absolutely send it, and you see their frustration turning into a 3-second time penalty. And when these cars get accordion at the end of the race, 3 seconds could mean 2 or 3 spots. So.
Yeah. Even more troubling being that we are currently spectating on the T-cam of Andrew Davis, so we saw him incur that penalty, and he was really only about 3 or 4 inches inside the line. That was really all the difference it took for that penalty to be assessed to him. However, he'll have to see come race end what it's worth. Still right on the back of Boryoshi.
Yep, his medium tires are cooking. And Boryoshi's in conserve mode right now. You know, as he says, as long as he gets good exits, there's nothing that the Alpine can really do in terms of getting alongside. And the McLaren of Francis right behind him, both looking, just licking his chops, waiting for it.
Yep, waiting to pick up the pieces of whatever may happen in front of him. He's in a great position for a podium if the time comes where an accident does happen between those two in front of him. Gap now between Mikey de Jong and teammate Abdullah Al-Hazmi up front up to almost 4 seconds. Mikey de Jong really just pulling away with this.
Yeah, we see, in fact, that Boryoshi's able to increase the gap down the only DRS straight. That just leaves Andrew with his palms empty, nothing to really grasp at.
It is a great early battle here for that final podium position. Only about 1/5 of the way through the race, 20% complete. However, just for the order that we've settled into, it seems that each driver has comfortably found their spot on the grid. The Williams, of course, just kind of pulling out at this point. 5-second gap already to Boryoshi in the Red Bull P3. However, that train that he's holding up does not seem to be having any action. They will not make it past him for a significant amount of time at least.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the AlphaTauri and Josh, but he's already been to the pits to onto the hards, and he's already cranked about 2 walls through Maribor. Might have some end plate damage.
Josh Bowditch, of course, racing from point-scoring position already in this Grand Prix. However, finds himself outside the points at the moment, as you mentioned, because of those 2 pit stops. He'll be looking to make the most of it.
Oh,
Mikey
yeah,
de Jong, however,
he's got to be dealing with some end plate issues because he has no front downforce. Just scraping every... Yeah.
Oh, and it's Jonathan Jurgensmeyer making the inside move on Fabian. However, does not manage to get it to stick. There was some contact, but nothing serious between the two. It seemed like Jurgs' left front made it into the side pod of Fidel, but there was no trouble that came of it. They are still racing it out. However, dropping some time to Julius Duku now.
Oh. I'm sorry, I'm riding on board with Josh right now, and he is, as we were talking about earlier, taking the Yuki Tsunoda approach to every single corner.
The headless chicken approach. Ah!
Oh,
Do
you
you
better
want
not
me to
do
crash?
it. Do not do it.
Following
Do
along
not do
now
it.
with the battle between Adam Pelk and Matt Daly for P10 is very tight also. Many different battles going on track at the moment. Boryoshi, of course, in P3, still holding tight in that train with him, Andrew Davis, and Francis currently. But it is Adam Pelk holding off, defending Matt Daly for dear life. And it's interesting being that Adam Pelk is on the medium compound tires, with Matt Daly being on the hard compound tires. So Matt Daly may not want to push the problem too hard here, because he will have the tire advantage regardless. But keeping close is always good.
Yeah, the one thing you got to look out for, though, if that Mercedes has any end plate damage, they'll be braking a lot sooner, and following this close could lead to you missing. Just to say you chipped your tooth there on your front end plate as well. So look how close they are. See what I mean? He's going to brake earlier. Oh, wow.
And it is
You
Matt
don't
Daly
see that every
making it.
day.
Yep, that is not a spot where you usually see a pass on track, but it is Matt Daly getting it done, at least for the time being. Adam Pelk does not seem to be putting up a fight back against him.
Oh, not a good day for the AlphaTauri. One retired in the pits, the other one just had an incident through Maribel.
As mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Monaco just being so different in racing style and what it demands from you than the other tracks. I mean, it's really easy to get caught up in it and just not feel confident. And I suppose that's what we're seeing with some of the drivers.
Yeah, there's got to be something wrong with that Mercedes. It's really off the pace. Matthew Stotts was able to catch up to Adam Pelk almost immediately, and you can see the gap that Matt Daly's already made from Adam since he's made that move. There's got to be some... Just pay attention to the braking here when he goes off into turn one. That's really early.
He was,
getting turned in.
Adam Pelk, wow, in the span of about a lap and a half, already down nearly 3 seconds to Matt Daly, who he was fighting with previously. Closest battle on track at the moment is Jonathan Jurgensmeyer looking to make the move on Julius Dugu for P7.
Had a peek, got into the mirrors of the Mercedes and made the mistake happen. You can see that. Saw cycle, he's just going to let him go. It's probably
he does,
smart
yep.
for him.
Not a fight Julius wants to take to that Haas. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, of course, running very well all season. We
saw him go down to P18 at the beginning of this race, and look at him all the way up into P7. So
on the
take
first
advantage of other people's mistakes.
This
Taking
is
the Williams approach.
This is not with any help from, pits or anything, a safety car. This is just pure racing merit that Jonathan Jurgensmeyer has worked himself back up from P18 to P6 on his first stint.
Yeah, we see Jamie Knockduckin. He's going to go on to fresh medium. Same with the Mercedes there. Julius. A couple of pit stops happening, but at the front still remains the top four.
Front runners, as we know. Oh, and it is Jamie Knock into the wall on those cold mediums straight off pit exit. He taps the wall. Does not seem to be any significant damage from it. End plates look okay. Front wing looks okay. However, he just got onto the gas way too early out of that pit exit and just lost full control of the rear. Ended up in the wall on the front left. He's okay for now. He'll be battling back from P10.
Oh, Pelk is dropping like a rock. He just got passed by Matthew Stotts. Even the slightest bit of wing damage here can make your car feel like it's plowing through the corner. You have no turn in whatsoever. It's just like you got cold bricks for tires. You need every piece of downforce on the car to go anywhere remotely close to being around this track at any competitive speed.
The trouble for us being that, not all damage is visual, so there may be slight damage to that wing that we just cannot see.
Saw Luke Allen going side by side towards the swimming pool section with Jake Scarborough. Backed out of it wisely because 2 into 1 does not work.
Close battle back there with Jake Scarborough, Luke Allen, and AJ Knickel for P13 at the moment. Starting a train of sorts. All great drivers, so they will be defending each other tooth and nail.
Francis
Who is it?
Goes around the outside of Andrew right before the chicane out of the tunnel. One step closer to the podium. It looks like Andrew's tires fell off because, he's lost touch there with Boryoshi that he was following so closely for so long.
And it is Francis, of course, on those hard tires making that move stick. So I guess we are at the point in the first stint where we're seeing the medium runners starting to fall off. And the hard tires are really getting their advantage. So if there is any opportunity for an undercut, it would be right about now. Matt Daly, however, retiring. Oh, he may have had an incident that we didn't catch.
Yeah. Right in the chicane. Huge problems. Riding on board with Luke Allen, you can see missing as his teammate passes the corpse of his... No safety car or anything. Odd.
And that is our first involuntary DNF of the session. That is our first racing incident, I would say. Josh Bowditch.
HMS fan through the swimming pool loses traction in the rear as around. Keeps it going, but heavy damage to the front of the car. He'll have to pit. Yeah, not a good day for AlphaTauri. It's crazy there was no safety car. You saw where that Aston Martin was sitting. That's insane there's not a safety car.
I would have to agree. However, onward we
That
go.
is wild to me. Look at the gap, though, between first and second. 9 seconds.
Now, Mike de Jong really making the most of it. But as mentioned, it could just be Abdullah Al-Hazmi on those medium tires, of course, just extending the life, looking to make it stick. He may not be fighting for the win today. He knows well enough that his teammate getting the win does good for him regardless. However, if he's looking to get a win today, he's going to need it at this point by way of safety car.
To be fair, these guys deserve to have a good race finally go their way with. It's clean from go to woe. You think that these guys, I mean, they need a race where they don't have to face any adversity. And so far, like we said in qualifying, they needed to be mistake-free, and so far, so good. And you love to see it. These guys have been busting their butts. You feel like they've had to do double the work as most of these drivers have to just keep grinding. I mean, they qualify well, they finish well, but these beginnings of the races have been something to talk about.
I mean, given the fact that they were so close to taking each other out going into the first corner of the race, given that they're racing 1-2 just comfortably now is kind of a miracle. Oh, and it is Abdullah Hazmi looking to make the undercut potentially. He's currently almost 10 seconds back, but ducking into the pits before his teammate Mike de Jong also running the medium tires.
You want to hope he's going to come out here and clean traffic. Is he going to come out? That's a lap car in the Ferrari, I believe, so he'll have plenty of space. Yeah, there's 2 lap cars of HMS Fan and Travis. But other than that, he's got clear air. You'd think they'd want to take in the other Williams as soon as possible. You maybe think next lap.
Yes, I would assume that they what's the word? They stuttered their pit stops purposely to not come in on the same lap and risk a double stack, even being that they were nearly 10 seconds apart. I'm sure that Abdullah Hazmi just looking to avoid any possible issue, racing very smart today.
Yeah.
Onto the hards he goes.
Yeah, he'll be good to go to the end. I believe they one stopped, hit it perfectly, and I believe there was enough. I don't believe Mike de Jong continues on. I'm interested to see if anybody who started on the hards has the how do you say, testicular fortitude to maybe throw on a set of softs there at the end.
Of course, that is usually the IRL strategy, either soft to hards or hards to softs. However, I mean, being that any issue here in ARC will be the end of your race, it's not a risk worth taking to most of these drivers, I would imagine.
Oh, what is that?
Yellow flag out in Sector 2 for the moment for an Alfa Romeo.
Sideways in the tunnel.
Is that Jamie Knock? It looks like it was Jamie Knock.
Jamie Knock.
He does recover. Loses out.
We've talked about all season. Just the mistakes.
That was a self-inflicted wound for Jamie Knock, as we see he's missing his front wing now. He will have to come in if he hopes to stay competitive in this race.
Oh, he's got to be careful. There's no downforce. He's just trying to wing it through this. You don't want to take penalties. You're already compromised enough. Just slow it down. Stay out of other people's way. You should be good to go. But undoubtedly has to pit here.
In he goes, right on the tail of Jake Scarborough in the racing position ahead of him. And it will be Adam Pelk in the Mercedes coming through both of them for P12. However, currently ghosted on track. He is passed, it looks like. He is lapped by Mikey de Jong. So it looks like all racing positions up to P12 at the moment have been lapped. Or all racing positions behind P12. I'm sorry.
Adam Pelk making contact with the wall in there as well. Okay, it's like I was saying pre-race, we have there's a lot of chance you'll see people just making the odd mistake. Like I said, maybe look at Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, he's up at a P4. I mean, he had a mistake early, but he's given himself track position. We know as well as I do that track position is king here at Monaco.
Boryoshi, however, after the leaders pit, he came in, or he was racing P1 having stayed out, but he pits for medium tires, comes out in P3. He'll be looking to make those mediums last, but he's in a great position.
Yeah, he's well clear of anybody else. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, however, the only thing that sucks is he is gonna have to pit. So let's take a peek to the gap he has.
Oh, and it is Jamie Knock crashing himself out in the chicane. And that is the end of the day for the Alfa Romeo.
And again, we have a driver crashing in the middle of the chicane. And again, safety car remains off.
So halfway through this Grand Prix, we have had two incidents. Two major incidents, I would say. However, neither of them resulting in a safety car. At least for the time being. It does not look like Jamie Knox's car will require any extra cleanup.
Oh, this is going to affect Francis's race right here. He's on fresher tires, just set the fastest lap here. But he's right behind the Haas that you know has been pushing for the past 18 laps.
Makes the move on the inside.
Yeah, I think that was half Jonathan Jurgensmeyer knowing that, like, hey...
Just relinquishing, yeah.
Yeah, he's happy to be here, you know what I mean, type of thing. Don't really want to fight it. He's going to use up those tires that he really needs to last.
Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, I do believe, pit for the hard tires. No, he is also on the mediums behind Francis. So they are fighting for position.
18 lap old mediums, though.
Oh.
So he's going to have to pit, yeah.
Did not know that Jurg was yet to pit, of course, having raced his way back up to P5 from P18 on the early incident.
Yeah, I think he spun out, but was able to make through without any sort of any damage, because he never pit, kept going, clawed his way back to the position he's in now.
Into the pits he finally comes, and we will wait to see what he chooses to go back out on.
Scarborough is just DNF from the race, I believe, in the pit. So while one Haas claws his way, the other one White claws his way to the couch for the remainder of the weekend.
And it will be hards. Having extended those mediums for half of the race, it does not look like he will be going back out on mediums. It will be the hards. So he will be pushing for his dear life, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer.
Adam Pelk refusing to give way here. Not sure. His car's ghosted.
It does appear so. Luke Allen makes his way
he's
through.
A lap down, and they're just sitting in the way there.
Yes, it looks like he is getting lapped. As mentioned beforehand, I believe the race leader has lapped every position up to P10 at the moment. Or maybe not. Every position up to P11, it looks like. Matt Stotts is the last one yet to be lapped.
Yeah, Michael de Jong's already made his pit stop. See, that gap came down from 9 seconds to 6.7. I know it's been 2 laps since Michael de Jong ducked in, but still. Hasmi was able to gain about almost 3 seconds on his teammate there with the undercut.
It is interesting. And of course, as mentioned, the undercut and the overcut pit strategy will really be the only chance either driver has on one another this race. They will not be looking to take the battle to each other on track.
And France is just being held up by 2 lapped cars. It's just unbelievable. They refuse to get out of the way. Blue flags, folks. Blue flags.
Does manage to get past the Mercedes, however, coming up hot to the back of that Red Bull of Luke Allen, actually. He'll be racing for P11 soon enough. Oh, apologies. He will be lapping P11 soon enough.
I was going to say, teammate right in front. Now Asma's about to put Luke Allen down. We see, look at Michael de Jong closing in on last week's race winner, too. The pace in the Williams. Qualifying wasn't a fluke. I know they had the incident in turn 1, but I mean, it's been nothing but Mikey de Jong's race to lose since the go.
The only real chance Al-Hazmi had, of course, was the better race start. He got a much better start off the line than his teammate, however, relinquished the first position going into the first corner, not looking to cause any trouble. He does manage to get past Luke Allen, the lapped Red Bull.
Ooh. Mikey de Jong clips the wall in the casino, but does nothing. Luckily, didn't spin the car out.
Loses
Didn't
about
rip the
half a
rear
second.
wheel. Yeah. A bit of a heart in your throat moment.
Take a look at tires now. Now that we've run through our first stints, it seems like the field is pretty evenly split between hards and mediums, with, of course, most of the runners being on hards.
Right now, our rookie HMS fan sitting on 18 seconds worth of penalties. That's 6 track limit penalties.
Yes, penalties, of course,
And
coming in. Penalties being in increments of 3 seconds.
Those come every 3 warnings, so that's 18 warnings.
He is, of course, a rookie reserve. However, will not be finishing last today by any means.
No.
Have had
That
plenty
spot
of
is reserved for his
retirements.
teammate.
He is
I mean, if he
sticking it
sticks
out.
around long enough, we could. Sometimes Monaco is a war of attrition. We've seen it before. A lot of cars. We saw what happened at Australia. It was such a chaotic race. The retirements let a guy that seemingly had no hope in the race finish well inside the points. So
Yeah.
oh boy.
Francis in the McLaren, currently P4, working hard to catch the tail end of that Red Bull in front of him for that final podium position. Has managed to work the gap down to less than a second. However, it will be a tough fight from here if he hopes to take that position.
Yeah, for Yoshi, we've seen in the past is excellent defending his position, and we've also just decreased the track width for him to give him a better shot. But Francis has been absolutely on one since the beginning of the second stint here. I mean, he's looked great all day, but he's really showing it now. But catching him is one thing, passing him is a whole different story. We'll see what he got. Maybe you gotta wait for a mistake, but Boriyoshi's not really known for those. Boriyoshi's trying to get by his teammate to lap him.
Of course, blue flagged cars will be ghosted once the lead lap cars come through, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. However, just for the sake of respect and whatnot, it was Luke Allen getting out of the way of his teammate to continue that battle.
So incredibly difficult to pass. It's almost an impossibility.
And it's looking like this may shake out as the only real battle for position on track come the end of the race. The battle for the final podium position, as it looks like the rest of the positions have kind of worked themselves out and people have settled into their spots. However, Francis is really pushing for that final podium. Now under half a second behind Boriyoshi.
In a reserve role, he's going to want this. The podium at Monaco looks good on the resume.
Both of them, of course, racing on those medium compound tires. We'll take a look at the details now to see how old each tires are. And it is Francis on 1 lap older tires than Boriyoshi, which may play a role come the end of the stint. However, for now, it does seem to be a good battle. Laying off now a little bit is Francis, maybe looking to conserve. Understanding the tire situation, he may have taken a peek himself.
Yeah, you can only follow a car that closely for so long before you start losing grip in the fronts.
Especially at Monaco. Doing very well to hold down that P4, given the fact that he is, of course, a fill-in driver. So,
Yo, you know he wants more, though. And why shouldn't he, you know?
Oh, of course.
Podium staring at him, just blinking.
And very quietly, it is these two, Boryoshi in P3 and Francis in the McLaren, quietly working their way up to the tail end of Abdullah Al-Hazmi, currently P2. The gap now under 3 seconds, when it was over 7 seconds come the end of their pit runs.
Yeah, they do have a tire advantage, so they're on the softer compound. They found the pace in those medium tires too, so ever so slightly it keeps decreasing over and over.
As we look further down the field, it's Jonathan Juergensmeyer right on the tail end of Julius Dugu going through the Nouvelle Chicane. Does not have enough.
Pit and is still in the points. Alex, you gotta say, from 18th to 8th, battling for 7th right here.
The first driver with an incident of the day. He did find himself in the last racing position. He was P18. And then by the end of his first stint, he had worked his way back up to P5, currently racing P8 at the moment. He'll be looking to advance from there for sure.
And of course, Fabian's right there too. I mean, Jonathan Juergensmeyer, Fabian's on 26 lap old parts. Fabian, another one probably, I believe, is involved with, well, while Juergensmeyer may have gotten all the way down to 18th, there was a lot of people that pit there under the first lap.
That is true.
That's where we saw Travis Stotts double stack with Matt Daly as well.
Francis still looking for a chance on that final podium position of Boryoshi. Cooks it around the outside into the inside for this corner. Does he have enough? He does not. However, he forces Boryoshi into the wall. He gives it a little smooch into the inside for this corner, and he does make it stick. Francis up into the final podium position at the time being.
You can hardly blame him. He had to go for it. He might not get the opportunity again. He needed to go for that move. It was clean. It looked super clean from on board. It looked like good hard racing. So Francis is moving. Only 2 seconds off of P2 at the moment. Why stop at P3?
As mentioned, I mean, the last time I did say something, the gap between P3 and P2 was about 3 seconds. In a span of 2 laps, it's come down to 2. You can only imagine that Abdullah Al-Hazmi, currently sitting P2, is conserving his hard tires to some degree for a late push. However, still, that gap coming down must be on his mind.
That put one to manage the gap, but it's hard to manage when a guy has softer tires and sheer determination. It's come down another 10th as we speak.
It seems that understanding the situation, Abdullah Al-Hazmi has laid off a bit in conserve mode. Knowing that they're creeping up behind him, he's going to rely upon strictly his defense to keep them at bay. But being as close as they are now, it seems that he has definitely laid off, and he has committed to defensive mode for the rest of the race against the two behind him.
Yeah, it's not as if Mikey de Jong's position is under any threat. I mean, he's 12 seconds clear of P2, and to say that it goes to 13 seconds clear. You can see the gap just decreasing so much here. Just a lap, it's already gone down 6/10, almost 7.
Following along now with Jonathan Juergensmeyer as he finds himself in a tight train with Fabian in the McLaren ahead of him and Julius Dugu right ahead of Fabian in the Mercedes. These three are tight, and I can only imagine that Jonathan Juergensmeyer is looking at that P6 2 places ahead and licking his chops.
Well, there's a guy defending a position hard who's on 26 lap old tires. Oh!
Jonathan Juergensmeyer takes the inside for the Nouvelle Chicane, and he does manage to make it stick over Fabian for the moment. What a risky move for him to send it into there, but he does manage to make it work on those old hard tires.
Don't look now, but the McLaren is well caught up to the back of the Williams.
Well, I suppose we'll have to look now as we watch Fabian, or we do not watch Fabian, we just did. Fabian ducking it into the pits from P8. May have sensed trouble having Jonathan Jurgensmeyer pass him, and it is the other AlphaTauri of the rookie reserve HMS fan retiring from P13.
Oh, that's a crash right there in the last corner.
Was not able to stick it out. Big incident that the leaders are coming through now. Not enough cleanup.
Cars off?
Not enough cleanup necessary to warrant a safety car, it seems. Not too sure about that, but
I've seen 3 instances.
I mean,
where there
given
was a car retired blocking the track, and Burt Myler said no. Unbelievable.
the leader Mikey de Jong currently making his way through Sector 2, so about 8.5 laps left in this Grand Prix and still no safety car. For Monaco, that's nearly unprecedented.
Been quite a bit of retirement, so we've lost 1, 2, 3, 5 drivers. I don't know why I had to count.
Mikey de Jong holding comfortably, his teammate Abdullah Al-Hazmi holding off Francis for P2 at the moment. However, Boryoshi in the Red Bull is sitting right there with them as well.
I thought for sure Francis was going to send it up there. Caught my breath. Riding on board with the T-Cam. I thought he was just going to lick the stamp. Luckily, he thought better of it.
Abdullah Al-Hazmi definitely driving with a bit of conservation on his mind at the moment. However, the two drivers directly behind him definitely not having conservation on their mind, as Francis does make his way right up to the tail end of that Williams.
You can see the McLaren's push, and you can see him coming out of the final corner, just getting so much wheel spin. The DRS was just unhelpful. You can't really send it here. It's just so tantalizingly close. It's just, especially for P2 on season debut.
This is great racing. I'm not sure we would be as invested if this was the fight for P12, but for P2, this is great racing right here. Abdullah Hazmi just doing what he can to stay ahead.
Naturally, all the while, Boryoshi's right there on the McLaren. If any of these guys make a mistake,
it looks like he's capitalized on Francis not taking the chicane too well, and he's right on the back of that McLaren. Al-Hazmi, though, just resting upon his defensive prowess. He trusts himself.
He just can't seem to get the grip on corner exit to even remotely have a chance towards turn 1. He's just got to keep staring at the back of that Williams. Up the hill, around, down the hill. Up the hill, down the hill. It's too late in the race for the Williams to make a mistake, so...
It is much too late. I mean, given their history and what they're normally prone to, a mistake involving a Williams would have come within the first, say, 10 laps of this race. The fact that we have not had one yet is probably an indication that there will not be one at all. However, Francis doing whatever he can. The gap down to about 3/10. However, it is Al-Hazmi with the better exit out of that chicane on every lap, so he will maintain that position, and it is merely the Nouvelle chicane, it seems, that he is maintaining that gap with.
I just can't imagine being in any of those guys' situation. If you're the Williams, you know you're just trying to maximize points for the team. Al-Hazmi's trying to close the gap to everybody in the championship. He's only 12 points back. This would be huge points for him with Boryoshi down in P4. So you don't want to be the McLaren, you don't want to be the Williams, you don't want to be the Red Bull, because... Oh! Is Francis going to send it up the inside here? Oh,
he makes it close! Not quite any contact, however, they were very close, and it is! It's the Red Bull of Boryoshi into the back of Al-Hazmi, and he does relinquish. However, it's Julian that manages to get away through the corner set. Into P2 he goes. And it was the issue of Boryoshi running into the back of Al-Hazmi on that corner that I think gave Francis the opportunity to move up. But Boryoshi very smartly, very respectfully seemed to back out of the fight. As soon as he made contact, he touched his brakes because he knew that was not a position that he would have gained fairly. So, good racing and respect to Boryoshi. However, it has opened the door for Francis to take P2.
Yeah, I mean, Francis has nothing to lose. He's not in the hunt. These two guys right here are locked in a close battle at the front of the ship here, so... But you gotta remain patient because, like I said, there's a lot of points right here on offer. Especially with that contact. It doesn't look like he has any wing damage. It doesn't look like he's really slowing down or plowing through the corners. It looks like everything's good in the Red Bull. It's not like the McLaren's taken off from the Williams either. It's remained steady and right there, half a second gap.
It seems that with the drivers, the respect for one another has really carried this race. We have seen a few incidents, but they've for the most part been just singular mistakes, just individual mistakes of people, you know, taking themselves out of the race. We have not seen any incidents involving two specific cars coming together, which I think is a testament to just these drivers up front, their skill and their respect for each other, knowing when to and when not to take the fight to one another.
I don't want to draw your attention away, but there's a battle for P6 right now between Julio and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer.
Jurg is making it close, yes.
It's gotten spicy between the drivers thus far. Didn't look like a lot of space was left by the Mercedes, and the Haas essentially bump drafted him up the hill there, headed towards turn 4.
So it would seem that Mikey de Jong, in having just absolutely pulled away with this race, he has already lapped every racing position up to P7. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, the only driver left on the lead lap, besides those ahead of him, of course, but Mikey de Jong really just pulling away with it at this point. Coming in now with 3 racing laps left once he crosses the line. And it's Jonathan Jurgensmeyer not quite with enough. Not enough to make the move on. He's looking for it. He was looking outside for a moment, but tucks it back in behind Julius. And he is looking up the inside. Now on the outside for this corner, and he does look to make the move stick.
What a move.
Great racing line from Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Great car control there to take it up the outside and still make it stick.
Meanwhile, the leader is right behind P6.
Yes.
Unbelievable race from Mikey de Jong.
As mentioned, every position up to Jonathan Jurgensmeyer already having been lapped, or I'm sorry, up to Julius Duku, who will be the next blue flag, and he does make space for the leader Mikey de Jong. However, his car is ghosted, so not that it matters too much. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer will be the next car under threat of the blue flag, and that may open the door for Julius Duku to come make a return move back on him. However, we'll wait and see. The gap between them already growing.
Think about this. If you're Boryoshi, do you just can stay alright to the P4 and understand the situation? I believe with the penalties to Andrew, he's a full pit stop ahead of Andrew and can pick for the fastest lap if he desires.
Given the situation, I do not think it would be a terrible idea. However, I'm sure that Boryoshi is considering the fact that he's currently sitting P3 in the Drivers' Championship, and he's assessing the risk of whatever move he may wish to make come the end of the race, and deciding if the risk is worth it for the extra points, given the fact that he's already doing pretty well. But we've yet to see. Currently sitting P4, he will want that extra podium position, but if it comes at too high of a risk, I can't imagine that he'll fight too hard for it.
I mean, Andrew's got 9 seconds of penalties, so essentially he's 32 seconds clear of P5.
The extra point on the pit on the pit for the fastest lap may be worth it to Boryoshi. However, being as close as he is to
Yeah, it's
P2
so
at the moment,
tantalizingly close.
he's licking his lips. His mouth is watering. P2 is literally just right there in front of him. And it's up to him to decide if the risk is worth it, if he's willing to stick it out and try to race for that position, if he wants to duck it in for the
He would have
guaranteed
had to
extra
have done
point.
it already.
That would have been the
window closed when
one.
he didn't pit.
On the final racing lap, the leader takes.
Oh. Yeah, this is it. Yoshi's gonna get one last chance to get it, but the thing is, Al Hasmi is getting DRS from the McLaren still in front of him, so that might be it. It's like, it's so hard to just try and make it pass. We've seen people have to get very creative, like Jonathan Jergismeyer and Francis, to get the positions. You have to stick your nose in there where other people really aren't willing to risk it.
Agreed. Boryoshi now driving the socks off of that car. He'll be looking to make up a position no matter what at this point, not having gone into the pits for soft tires to guarantee himself the fastest lap. He's now racing for P3 ostensibly. He may have a shot at P2 if he keeps his head down. However, his he's got no ERS to deploy, and he is going to have to stick it out from that position. It seems P4 at the moment. It'll take a monumental effort to make it past Abdullah Al-Hazmi in P3. However, he's right on the tail. Maybe looking to make it stick around the outside here, does not. Going into the final corner now. Still the gap maintaining about 4/10. And it does not look like he'll make it coming to the line. And it is Mikey de Jong, of course, having pulled away with this race early on, gets the win for the Williams team. Francis, filling in the McLaren, takes P2. What a great finish for him. And Abdullah Al-Hazmi, teammate of Mikey de Jong, taking the final podium position, P3. Boryoshi putting up a great fight in that Red Bull, but only manages P4 from it. He'll be happy with that, given his current position in the driver's standings. Andrew Davis in the Alpine taking P5. He'll be extremely happy with those points. Jonathan Jergensmeyer taking P6 after quite an eventful race. Great effort from him to race all the way back from P18 after the early incident. Julius Duku with a great finish, his first significant points finish of the season, coming home in P7. And AJ Knickel, having not laid down a lap in qualifying, takes home P8. And of course, as mentioned, Mikey de Jong coming home with the win here at the ARC 2023 Monaco Grand Prix. It is Francis taking P2 and teammate of Mikey de Jong, Abdullah Al-Hazmi, taking the final podium position, P3. I believe we're about to kick it down to Billy, who's with some of the drivers.
Yeah, hold on a second, just trying to spread word.
Boryoshi fighting very hard for that final podium position, but manages P4 out of it. Andrew Davis of the Alpine taking P5, and Jonathan Jergensmeyer with a great recovery drive coming home in P6 for the Haas. Julius Duku, first significant points finish of the season, P7 for him in the Mercedes, and AJ Knickel, not having laid down a lap, as mentioned in qualifying, takes P8. Fabian in the McLaren P9, and Matt Stotts, our previous race winner in the final point scoring position, P10 in the Ferrari. Luke Allen takes home P11 in the Red Bull, and Adam Pelk holds on for P12 in the Mercedes. Travis taking P13 in fill-in for Tyler Crabtree in the other Ferrari, and it is the rookie reserve HMS fan coming home in P14 in AlphaTauri. Alright, we're going to kick it over to Billy now with some of the finishers.
Oh, I just want to kick it to the winner. Mikey, talk us through that. There was from the beginning of the race, you and your teammate got side by side going up the hill, but after that, it was pretty well and clear that you were the man to beat, and no one was going to do it.
Well, it was a weird race for me as well, because normally I'm in a certain state which I'm not in. Because normally I don't go to bars and drink a lot and then come back to race, and then actually win it.
By quite a margin, too.
Yeah, but this Monaco is just my track, and I have said it many times before. Monaco is where I'm at my ease, where I'm quickest, uh, and on the qualifying laps, in the first few qualifying laps, I messed up because my head was messing with me. But in the last lap, it was perfect getting me on pole, and then on the start, just getting side by side with my teammate, it was good, and then throughout the whole race, just keeping it clean and no, not getting any penalties, not hitting any walls, and still being quicker than anyone else. It's just insane.
So what you're saying is, before this race, you went and bar hopped, came home, then won the Monaco Grand Prix by 23 seconds with no mistakes?
Exactly.
It was a great race. Just talk us through what was going through your mind in that first corner off the race start. Were you looking to fight with your teammate, or was it a situation where you didn't think a fight was a very smart thing to do?
I mean, in the first corner, I was side by side with him, and I tried my best to not hit him. Uh, and by doing so, I cut a little bit of the corner, which I think also gave me a bit more exit speed, which actually gave me the opportunity to drive away that far from how I am right now. But I think if I did end up second in that one, I think I would have overtaken him later in the race because of my overspeed. But I mean, he said it as well. Like he knew that I was quicker, so there was no point on fighting, especially since we're teammates and we're still gonna wanna try to get the team constructors points.
Well, try as you must, but you guys are well ahead, and that race right there proved it. Excellent drive, man. That's all I can say. Hats off. 23 seconds after tying a couple on is more than what most people could say. Uh, so congrats.
Yes, thank you.
Ah, Francis. Francis, I know it was frustrating sitting back there. You saw a podium. You came from, well, I don't know if you started, I believe it was P5 of the day, but where you finish P2, sitting there at the patience level, was going through your head there in the second stint because you were absolutely flying there on the mediums. And unconventional ones, say to speak, like on the outside heading down through Maribor there. Like I saw you were trying to get into the driver's mirrors, just show them where you're going, feinting a bunch of moves, and finally you just sticking it. The battle on the outside of Borioshi, super clean, and then you managed to take the Williams, who fought valiantly. Like you weren't able. It's not like you pulled away there at the end though, but you were able to get what you needed. And is this a reserve role, or you taking that seat? Because if it's a reserve role and you show up and get P2 at Monaco, that's outstanding. Top two spots, one of them bar hop, the other one didn't even practice. That's uh, that's awesome. You should be. Well, I'm sure teams will be looking at you because that's having heard that. Excellent drive, man. Thank you for putting on a show there with the overtakes. It's fun to watch. I appreciate that. Is that Al Hasmi that joined?
Um,
Yeah, that's
believe so, yeah.
All right, P3. Al Hasmi.
yeah.
Talk us through turn one and then the rest of the race, trying to hold it off there, just to not to lose that final spot on the podium. There's a huge fight between the McLaren, the Williams, and the Red Bull there at the end. Walk us through it.
Oh well, at the beginning of the race, turn one, I got a slightly better start, but I thought I would just hold back. I wouldn't try to go side by side during the first sector. It's a bit too risky. But yeah, just decided to hang back and take B2, try to take it home. Till I made a mistake and I got wing damage, which dropped me back to where the McLaren and Yoshi was. And yeah, I mean the McLaren was a bit faster. I made a mistake going into that turn, which made him side by side, and he took the corner, and nothing I could do about that. So yeah, I was just trying to take it home from P3 and just keep the Red Bull behind, and trying to stick close to the McLaren in hopes of him getting a penalty. But yeah, at the end, P3, happy with it.
Yeah, we talked about it all year thus far, all season rather. The mistakes early on, every race since Bahrain, the two Williams always seem to find themselves in a bit of a pickle before lap 10's even completed. You guys have had to claw back. We mentioned during qualifying you guys were going to have a perfect race. You guys qualify 1 and 2. Hopefully you guys stick and finish 1 and 2, and you guys managed to pull it off. You guys managed a completely mistake-free race, so to speak, there at Monaco, so you guys should be feeling really good going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, we should. We solidified our position in the constructors, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah. As far as constructors, you guys are absolutely walking it right now. But as far as the drivers, there's the top 4 between you, the Red Bull, Jonathan Jurgens, and your teammate, all separated by 12 points going into this race. This could be a huge point swing race for you guys. So, congrats again to everybody.
Thanks.
All right, I think we're going to kick it over to AJ Knickel. Bill, you got anything for him, potentially? Started P18 after not having put in a qualifying lap. Finished in the points. It's a great race for him. Maybe his best of the season so far.
Is AJ even here?
Oh, was that the whole question?
What was your mindset?
Sorry, I thought you were building on that. But
was
that's
there
all
a
good.
reason potentially for not having put in a qualifying lap, or was it just
Did you have a quali ban?
Yeah, I had a qualifying ban from last week after the incident with Fidel. Felt really good to come and finish ahead of him after everything, because there's some feelings there that have been outlined in prior interviews, but. No, the car felt good. I felt pretty at one with it. It was nice and predictable, mainly for the rest of the race. But I'm a little disappointed, honestly, because I feel like it could have been a lot more had we not had the qualifying ban. But yeah.
I mean, you were also sideways in the hairpin without a front wing, and you still managed to bring home points. So
Yeah, that was the other thing.
That
was the other thing I was gonna mention was on lap, I think it was 3 or 4. I got into neutral and I thought I was in first gear, shifting up to second, and so when I dropped it into first, it spun up and I got sideways, knocked the wing off. So I had to reverse out of that, so that was probably another 15 seconds. It's it's a lot of like what could have been, but generally I think when you come from a first lap accident where the whole field stacks up, where you're missing half your front wing, driving for 3 laps to knock off your entire front wing, and then to go the entire rest of the race with absolutely no problems, making some cool overtakes. It felt pretty good, to be honest.
Well, what's Monaco with a bit of adversity at the beginning, huh?
Yeah, it's true. I've won here before, but it always seems to be something. I mean, this is the only track that I've been leading the race and fallen through the pavement. Shout out to F1 2016. Yeah. Should have a lot more wins here, but luck seems to not quite love me at this track. Happy to have won. That's all I can really say about that.
All right, I don't know what to say. The 2016 thing caught me off guard. Yeah, with your teammate retiring, that's at least bringing home some points is decent. Obviously, we gotta take a look at the standings. Yeah, where are you guys?
Yeah, we're 4th right now. I think we're 10 clear of the next team. It's been a rough couple weeks for us. Matthew's been struggling at times with, just getting to be, feeling correctly with the car, and sometimes you just have those moments where it doesn't seem to come together. I trust he'll get back on his feet. Truly one of the one of the better teammates I've had in terms of how well we work together. So I yeah, I'm sure as the season rolls on, we get to some more conventional tracks. I mean, the way I look at it, there's a lot of like what could have been, should have been. Like he was P2 at Imola, I was, on for P4 probably at Spain. We've had a lot of things that should have gone our way that just didn't quite pan out, whether that be to, bad strategy or, other drivers acting like we're not on the track, but we'll get there.
All right. That's it for me, Alex. Anything you want to say?
Nope. I think we're all wrapped up here in Monaco for the 8th Grand Prix of the 2023 ARC F1 season. We thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week, of course, for Baku. All right, and that's a wrap.